Hello, and welcome to the Heart and Soul Dance sponsored 12 Days of Giving videos. I'm Liz Gutzweiler-Daigle, and I'm here to teach you some basics in hustle. So what I'm about to teach you is one pattern that's used quite often, and it can actually be in combination with many other patterns. So it's just a basic pattern for now. But I'm also going to teach another type of pattern that's just a variation, but it shares the same techniques. First of all, in hustle, there is the slot where the follower dances in the slot. The leader dances on the rails. So we have a left rail and a right rail for the leader. Right now, I'm on the left rail. If I'm in closed position like this, and I have my partner in frame, in my frame, you need to make sure that you're pulling up with your chest, your arms are out, and you're holding your frame, especially for this move. I'm going to tap to the side. I'm going to do what's called a side break, just tapping with my toe and the ball of my foot, maybe about 20% pressure on the and one. I'm going to come into the slot with my left foot on count 2, and you'll see when the follower is here, I'm coming in between her feet on count 2. I'm pushing off with my right foot to get over my left, and since I'm going at a diagonal, that's where I'm going to land on count 3 on the opposite rail. So I'm going to push and land on 3. I'm going to turn and face forward to my partner and side break to start again. So I'm doing and 1, coming into the slot on 2, pushing on my right to get to my left on 3, then settling back into my and 1. I'll have my partner in my arms, and that will help with the momentum to do and 1 into the slot 2, at an angle 3 as I rotate my partner, then the and 1, 2, 3. The followers, when we set up with our leaders, we don't want to be at a 90-degree angle, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. We don't want to be at a 90-degree. We want to be turning into our leader. It's called heart-to-heart position. So I'm going to turn into my leader. My and 1, I'm pulling my right leg back. I'm landing my right toe close to my left heel for the and I'm stepping on 1. You're stepping underneath yourself. You can progress a little bit, is fine. All right? When we do this, I always like to tell my followers, think of your and count as a kickstand, and 1. You're not going to take your center back. You're not going to put your heel down, but you're going to reach with your right leg, and 1. At the same time, you can rotate your outside hip. So my right hip is going rotational out, and 1. I'm going to step on 2 as he's stepping in between my feet, and he's going to rotate me, and I'm going to step back on 3. In hustle, the count 2 is your longest step. We're doing most travel on count 2. So my and 1, underneath me or a little bit forward, I'm stepping on 2, largest step. As I turn to my right shoulder, I'm taking a small step back on 3. I'm going to repeat it, and 1, large step 2, turn and settle back on 3. Steve is leading. We're facing forward this way. He's got his hand on my shoulder blade. If you notice, I am more angled in to him. Do a quarter turn, Steve. I'm more angled to him, heart to heart. We are not at a 90-degree angle. This is old school hustle. In modern hustle, we want to be a little bit more angular, and this will help with my right hip. It started turning in. As we do an and 1, I get a little bit of momentum to do the and 1. It helps with that rotation. So now Steve's going to get back on the rail, and I'm doing our and 1. I'm going to step on 2 as he steps in between my feet on 2, and we're both stepping back he's stepping at an angle on count 3, and if you notice, I'm in this V formation, just like we started over there. So, it's a little bit more angular. If we're doing it again, and 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 2 in a row. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now, if you have really good frame, the leader has good frame, he's holding you on your scapula, and you feel that hand with your shoulder to make that connection. All you need is this connection here between his right arm, follower's left. If you want to do crossbody lead, one-handed, followers, you have a free arm. You can do any kind of arm work that you want that looks pretty. Leaders, if you want to have your arm out to the side to show her where the rail is, that's just fine. So your free arm followers, you can do whatever you want. So we're going to do a couple of cross bodies having a free arm. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Hair brush and out. 2, 3 on the hip. 2, 3, and 1. Cool, right? Followers. That was called a left turning basic. And 1, because we're turning on our left leg, right? I'm here on 1, I'm pushing off, I'm turning on 1 and to step back on 2. Small back on 3. That's called a left turning basic. Let's say I'm over here, it'll be easier. Now we're going to do what's called a right turning basic. We're doing an and 1. Now I'm stepping on 2. It's a right turning basic because I'm turning on my right leg. All right? So I'm going to turn to my right shoulder on the count of 2 and. I've already stepped on 2. I have to go 2 and before I step back on 3. So followers, this next movement is called a reverse cross body. That's the footwork you're going to use, is a right turning basic. If I'm in closed position, I'm doing and 1, 2. The leaders are going to turn you on and you're going to step back on 3. Leaders, your footwork, I always say in hustle, leaders have to plan 3 to 6 counts ahead of time. All right? You probably have to do in all the dances, right? But in hustle, you really have to plan it. If you mess up a move, it's usually because you didn't pre-plan it. So if I'm going to do this next move, I have to set it up correctly in my mind, otherwise I'm going to miss it. So this is what's called a reverse cross body. Not a lot of people do it, but you should think about using it more often because it will change your direction very easily, very quickly, just in 3 counts. So leaders, if you're in closed position like this, like we were before, with a regular cross body, you're going to have to reverse the first 2 counts. So I'm going to do a and I'm going to cross my right over my left. I'm starting to get into the slot. I'm not on the opposite rail yet, but I'm starting to get into the slot. I'm stepping on 2 on the rail, and because the follower has to turn on 2 and, leaders, you have to turn her on 2 and once again, at that same diagonal, you're going to come down that rail on count 3. So I'm doing and 1, on the rail on 2, down the slot on 3. And 1, on the rail 2, turn on 2 and down the slot on 3. So remember, this is a reverse cross body. So Steve is going to back break and cross in front into the slot for the and 1. And 1. See how he's in between my feet. He's not directly underneath, but he's in between my feet. He's not all the way over on the slot. We're both going to step forward on 2 because he's got frame. He's taking me with. He's going to rotate that shoulder all the way over, turn me on the and count, step back on 3. And 1, 2, 3. Reverse cross body. 2 in a row. And 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. If we did it from this angle, sorry, Steve, reverse cross body, and 1, 2, turning and stepping on 3, and 1, step 2, turning on and, coming across on 3. So leaders, you can totally practice this all on your own. I always have my beginner students and novice students, they'll put pieces of tape on the floor. That's their rails. They can practice their cross body. And 1, 2, am I in the slot? 3, am I on the rail? And 1, 2, 3. If I do it from this angle, I'm on a rail. And 1, in the slot 2, across at an angle on 3, straighten up for the and 1, 2, 3. Followers, this is a great exercise to practice your left turning basic, your right turning basic, because we use it all over the place in hustle. So remember, angle your body to your partner, because you're going to rotate your hips. And 1. Step 2, turn on 2, and to step on 3, and 1, 2, and 3. You can do the left turning basic. And 1, notice how my right hip rotated out. I'm turning, stepping on 2, back on 3. And 1, turn on 2, step back on 3. So I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a little bit of hustle that you didn't know before. And I definitely hope you learned a little bit more technique. I went more into detail about it, and it will do nothing but improve your hustle. Hustle is a lot of fun. If you'd like to join us on Monday nights, we do beginner hustle in January at 7 o'clock, and we'll also be doing intermediate hustle at 8 o'clock here at Heart and Soul Studios.